Unit 2, Part 2. In this part, I'm going to go over the factor label method. So this is just a way of, and I've talked about this before, how to do conversions. Now, I wrote down a problem. How many pennies are in $25? Now, you know and I know that we can figure that out without actually writing it down. But I'm showing this for just to show you an example that's easier to understand about the method. So if we want to do conversion from dollars to cents, there's two conversion factors that we can use. We could use this one here, $1 over 100 pennies. Right? Why? Because $1 equals 100 pennies. So this is a conversion factor. And the conversion factor, the numerator and denominator are both the same, but they're in different units. So if you look here, dollars is one unit, pennies is another. But they're equivalent to each other. Or we could use 100 pennies over $1. What would determine which one we would use? You want to use the one that actually will cancel out the unit that you don't want, but keep the unit you want. So what I did here is I put an example, possible example here, $25 over 1 times $1 over 100 pennies. And then I put another potential way to do the conversion, $25 over 1 times 100 pennies over $1. So this here is one conversion factor. This is the other potential conversion factor. So what I want to do is I want to ask which one of these conversion factors would cancel out dollars but leave pennies. So if you look at A here, you have $25 times dollars over pennies. Now the dollars are not going to cancel out. So and we know this is correct because, I'm sorry, this is not the right conversion factor to use. Because if I multiply 25 times 1 divided by 100, that's going to come up with 0.25. So I know $25 is not 0.25 pennies. Now we could use this B, the bottom one, all right? $25 times 100 pennies over $1. So if you look here, because the dollars are in the numerator and denominator, dollars are going to cancel out. Now you're left with pennies, which is the unit that I wanted. So 25 times 100 equals 2,500 pennies. Right? So this is the correct one to use. So I want to use the B, right? This conversion factor here, not the other conversion factor. And this is a really powerful method for doing conversions because it really is self-correcting. If you don't use the right conversion factor, the units don't cancel out. So if you understand how to do this, it's going to be, it helps you make sure that you actually are answering or say setting it properly and getting the correct answer. Okay, let's look at another example. So with this one, let's take a look at conversions in time now. So this next problem is how many seconds are in 2.5 days. So we're gonna have to use more than one conversion factor. So let's look at our first one. All right, so I'm gonna start with 2.5 days. So I'm writing down my starting point, and I want to get to seconds. That's the last unit that I want. I'm going to put it over 1. Now, I'm going to use a conversion factor. And since I know that there's 24 hours in a day, there's two conversion factors I could use. So I'm going to go from days to hours first. So 1 day over 24 hours. Or we could use another one, 24 hours over 1 day. So which one of these is actually is going to cancel? Which one of these two conversion factors if I use it, will I cancel out days? So if you look at the first one here, in this one here, you would have days times days, so it's not going to cancel out. But this one here, hours is on the top and days is on the bottom. So I'm going to use this one. So I'm going to multiply 24 hours over 1 day. Now days cancel out. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go from hours to minutes, because that's another conversion factor I can use to get to, because I eventually want to get to seconds. So I'm just going smaller and smaller, going from larger to smaller and smaller units, so that I can get my final unit, which is seconds. So I need to figure out what conversion factor I'm going to use for this. So let's look at two conversion factors. You have 1 hour over 60 minutes. Or I could use another one, 60 minutes over 1 hour. Right, so which one of these two, this one here and this one here, which one of these can I multiply times 24 hours over 1 to cancel out the hours? So if I look at this one here to the left, this one, I'd have hours times hours, so it's not going to cancel out my hours. But this one over here, 60 minutes over 1 hour, if I multiply times this, I'm going to cancel out my hours. So I have 60 minutes over 1 hour. Okay? And then in this case, the hours are going to cancel out because it's numerator and denominator. So now I need one more conversion factor. All right, so I need to multiply a conversion factor to go from minutes to seconds. So I'm going to have to figure out which one I can use. So I can either put the minutes on the top or the bottom. So let's take a look at that. So you have 1 minute over 60 seconds, or 60 seconds over 1 minute. Okay, so which one of these is going to cancel out? If I can figure out now, it's going to be this one here on the left. Why? Because the seconds are on the top and minutes on the bottom. The minutes will cancel out. So because I've run out of room over here, I'm gonna multiply, put it over here. Oops. So I'm going to multiply it times 60. All right, I can't put it over here because I ran out of space. So I got to put it over here. 60 seconds over 1 minute. All right, minutes cancel out. Now I'm left with seconds. So if I go back to this problem here, I wanted to find seconds. I'm left with seconds here. So I know I've set this up properly. So now if I multiply this out, right, 2.5 times 24. So if we multiply this out, we get 216,000 seconds. So 216,000 seconds in 2.5 days. Okay. All right, and I think that if you have questions about the using this methodology, let me know, especially during the live session on Monday.